I told them they copped a bid previously, but there was more stuff than that, and the person had to send them money, and I don't think they put it in time.
It is very positive. Yeah. So I think
they know the rules, I've told them.
what I'm proposing is that
If they're having problems, they should
we say that generally we can agree on your area, and then one hand in on and round road. And then I think, as a parish council, we ought to write to each person in those areas and say this is what we plan to do.
I haven't
Unless you've got any objections. And also, to go ahead if somebody goes ahead.
I'll find out something. Look up to the line to find that.
I'm in two opinions about but then I agree.
Just give me a second.
Someone can do that.
Yeah.
You've got all these mature trees around it.
Yeah.
And I think unless we come very forward, means it touches you know, there is going to struggle to get to it though, and then like that. So I'm sure school would agree with that. And then there's George Street Wings, a bit of ground in front of the population big enough to take the trees.
Well, I've got it in
Got that big silver birch. And then there's also and one in the churchyard. I spoke to when the town who's the
the mother was close, and I wanted to know
we would have to you need to have 4 pictures of the dog you go to the there's a word for it. Is that what cost you anything? It's a faculty, that's right, yes.
You'll be busy then.
oh yeah, I've got
They
people
might
like
do
go to bed later and then to the
especially
about
We make the research to speak of, and it is a contract. He didn't want to red light, so he's trying never to jump.
But there is that big area.
Will he get in the car?
It's just open.
Richard, it was an account. It was an account. Because he was old.
Right, good evening everybody, it's 7:15, we'll make a start. Thank you all for attending, nice evening. Are there any open forum items that anybody wants to raise? No, thank you. Let's move on to, we'll just get apologies out of the way first. Apologies from Terry Warner.
Yeah.
Can I have a proposer and seconder? John and Chris, thank you. So let's give the floor, oh sorry, can I have a, we've done that.
Yeah.
Can I have a, give Andy the floor now as county councillor. Andy.
Yeah. Right, I'll do me notes, so I'll try and make them legible, Robbie, so you can read them. Right, first one, HS2, if you're going on the A425 to Leamington, there are 2 lots of lights now. There's the ones at Ufton that are carrying on to the 4th of July, but from the 4th of July to the 8th, there's going to be, Ufton is going to be closed from 9:30 to 3:30. So there's those ones, and now there's another set that's going to be on all the way from now till sometime in July, and I keep on changing the dates, but it's a fair time. And that's, at the moment, they're at the first old entrance to Dallas Burston. So when you come down the hill, over the bridge, and it used to be that little turning on the right, they're from about there up to where that crossing was, but they have a crossing for the workers, so it's all the way along there. I was there this afternoon. I was only stuck for about a minute and a half. It wasn't too long, but just to warn everybody, and I've been put it in the updates. What else have I HS2? So yeah, that's the closures. And there might be some other closures to do with tree pruning. Not as many trees left to prune, but that's another issue. But there's that as well. So as soon as I get any more information, I'll update that. But I've been trying to put that out every week.
what's taken me back a little bit is as you go along Welsh Road West and get to the Fossway there,
Yeah.
they put these enormous road signs up, which are like motorway-sized road signs.
Yeah,
And previous to that, all you had was a little finger post.
yeah, definitely. That is probably one of the very few positives to come out of HS2. It's that
Oh,
roundabout.
the roundabout,
It's much better because
But is that one in the bottom there, the Welsh Road one, that's only a temporary roundabout, they keep saying?
yeah, and they're going to close. Yeah, I think they're eventually going to close Long Eastington Road, or not they? But yeah, it's like again they keep on changing the line.
Yeah.
They do. And then there's going to be sometime there'll be a slight diversion through Dallas Burston that was going to be the original diversion, and it will add about 30 seconds to your journey. And there will be a temporary reduction on the speed limit of 50 to 40. But again, that's going to be notified in the future. But,
Okay, thanks. Sorry, Andy.
yeah, no problem. Again, I'll put it in, it's going to be in Stockton News. It's in my update this week as well about swimming in open water. We're starting to get towards the holidays. Yeah, very tempting. And then there's cold shock syndrome as you go in and whatever. So again, we're just trying to encourage people. Isn't usually too bad round here compared to Bishop Sittington, but I've known people. So again, if you can get that message across, that would be good. I've just noticed the VAS, Vehicle Activated Sign, that's what it'll stand for, Robbie, if you can't remember what it is. The one coming from Southam to here, warning of the crossroads, it doesn't appear to be working. So I'll chase that up tomorrow. And that's with street lighting, I was found out. It's not highway, street lighting are responsible for those. Some grants have gone in for my grant fund from Stockton organisations, I believe. But I think, I was just saying to Chris that, what's it saying? Brain's gone. That the ones for the playing field, I don't think they put it in. They've missed the deadline. So if they do complain, I would see what I can do, but I've told them they knew the deadlines. Again, it's been in my updates on a regular basis for about a month prior towards the closure date. And I want to help, especially because most of my grant usually goes to applicants in Southam. Stockton has some, so it's probably about 70-75% Southam, 20-25% Stockton, and 5% if Napton residents can be bothered to apply. But you can only deal with what you've got in front of you. So, so we'll see. But I will do it as I can. But it's just to warn you that.
Yeah. Well, I think they're coming to the realisation, which we've been saying right from the start, that it's going to have to be a phased programme. They're never going to get all the money up front to do the whole project.
Yeah.
And in fact, a number of the funders are saying that they don't like putting money into a bigger pot. They like to say, well, we've given you X and we want to see something specific for X, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that may be the way things go forward, that they'll get a grant and they'll fund something and move on and fund something else. So there's still plenty of time on that, Andy, for a later bid.
And George Street has been from that. I'll have to write this for Robbie in a minute. George Street, there's a couple of issues there. There was a bollard that we put at the top to stop people going in front, but that got ripped out because I had complaints about it. But there's 2 bollards going in now, but again it's because they've already had one, we've had to put a new one in, order it again, so it's gone down the bottom of the list. So there's that. Somebody was complaining, why isn't the other overgrown bit at the top turned into parking? There's several reasons for that. It's one about ownership, 2 people who own it might have other uses for it, 3 we don't want to particularly tarmac green areas, and for no matter how much you put in, there will never be enough parking. So there's that. Yeah, just again complaining about speeding cyclists, and again I don't know what we do about them, and about people coming out of Arm Row and George Street, how it dangerous. But again, if you move people from parking in Victoria Terrace, they've got to go somewhere, and they might park somewhere even more. But at least it acts a bit of a traffic barrier.
Yeah.
So that it is difficult, but and there's a new police officer. I think her name's Donna Parish. So I'll write that down. And she's the new beat officer.
She's a PC, not the PC.
Yeah, PC. Yeah.
Donald Parry.
So yeah. So I will make contact with her to see if she'll come and look at the parking. Obviously, I know when to pick up my dog. There's the BMW soft top parks on the corner in a stupid place as you turn into Arm Row, and then that makes it difficult for bigger vehicles to get round.
Yeah.
And they're eroding some of the verge. You know, the curb's there, but the verge, you know, the green, there's tracks in there, but that'll be filled up, but it's difficult to do. But I know he's marked out some of the curbing a bit further up because that was bad. So we had to walk round. So I think that's about it. We're reasonably up to date on most things. But yeah, we're just looking for, again, retained firefighters. We're trying to just get, obviously Stockton, you can just about make it in the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. And I did notice again, the 50-mile-an-hour signs, one of the little roundels on the way, they keep on being obscured by people who don't like the speed. So.
While you're here then, Andy, we seem to be making quite good progress with the proposal to put in a couple of radar-activated speed signs on the road through.
Yeah.
Have you had any experience of other councils that have gone down that route? I'm just wondering, how far do we go with the contractor in getting a scheme together, and when do we involve Warwickshire Highways?
I will try and watch highways, involve them as soon as possible.
Right.
I think hopefully eventually locals will get blasé with them, but the ones you want to catch as well are the ones who taking shortcuts, don't know the area, and it's the same way with these noisy motorcyclists on, you know, on the bypass that say them, or along the top road. They're not usually regular users of the road. So whilst the initial slowing down and working of the signs will have an effect, over time people become blasé, and you know, that they will start to ignore them. But they will always work for people who don't know the area. And whether you've got somebody, a neighbour very close by, who can actually put up a yellow box on their fence, well, yeah, half serious sort of thing. So I think it will definitely make a difference initially. Whether it will make a long-term difference, I don't know. But I know just we can't fund it at the moment. So.
Yeah, well, it's something that we're committed to funding ourselves.
Yeah, Terry sent me something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. Hopefully, it will make a difference. But it's like you say, usually when people get caught speeding, a significant majority are local people.
Yeah.
It's almost like reverse NIMBYism. I won't be speed limit outside my house, but when I get a bit further down the road, it doesn't matter. So it's a difficult one, and that's not the only, you know, the major causes of speed is a factor, it is a significant factor, but the biggest factors are driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol, which is invariably tending towards drugs rather than alcohol. It used to be like 90% alcohol, 10% drugs. I think it's now about 52-48 in favour of drugs, because the younger people don't drink so much, and it's cheaper and easier to get drugs. Usually cannabis, but cocaine is the other one. So that is the problem. And then driving without due care and attention is the significant ones and that. But anything we can do to reduce the injuries and things like that, I'm all in favour of. And it's a shame that the county can't put a roundabout in like they. I've tried all sorts. I've tried to get money from HS2, all sorts, and it has been a nightmare. So.
Yep, good. Okay, thanks, Andy. Any questions for Andy at all? Okay, thanks for your time, Andy.
But if there is anything, I'm sorry, I keep on sending in weekly Billy do to Robbie, don't I, Robbie? And he laughs at all the jokes at the bottom.
Can you remind me what language you write this stuff in?
I've got an excuse. On
I've
mail,
forgotten Gaelic.
on mail, I'm left-handed and I was an accountant. So when I used to do reports at work before the ladies in the typing books, they were ladies then, I'm not being sexist, they said, I should have been a doctor because I've got the handwriting of a doctor. And when I did say to them, they were to be boxers, because when they were typing, they were like typing with boxing gloves, but then I should have run.
That went down well.
Yeah.
That's why I was
You're
always
allowed
a
to
good,
make friends, don't you?
I was always a good runner.
Thanks, Andy.
See you later.
Okay, let's go back to the agenda. Item 3, any declarations of interest? Anything on the agenda? No. Item 4, minutes of the meeting.
Item 5.
Item 5, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
It's
Minutes of the meeting.
when we get it printed, the whole thing goes haywire.
Any comments on accuracy? I just saw one typo on the middle of the last page. You put Riding Road.
Yeah.
So can I have a proposer and second that they be adopted, please, Helen, and somebody else, Wendy?
I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there, sorry. Chris, sorry. Thank you. Any matters arising which aren't on the agenda? If everything's on the agenda. Okay, so let's move on to item 7, which is planning. Robbie's got one decision, which is Stockton House.
Stockton House, they have give permission for the variation of condition 2 to allow the introduction of a stairwell on the first floor toilet. We now have 3 that you've all seen because I've sent you them. The old post office variation, 1 Mount Pleasant, and under devolved powers, that's a no representation. Yep. 22-01587, full 17 Mount Pleasant, rear and front side extensions and raising the roof to create a further story with dormer windows to the southeast. There have been at least one objection put into the planning authority for that. And I've sent those all round, so the floor is yours.
Yeah, 1 or 2 people that said they weren't very happy with the proposals.
Yeah. I mean, it's mainly bungalows, isn't it, just there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the 2 bungalows as you go up Mount Pleasant, but the others are all dormer houses, aren't they?
Yeah.
When you go into Tuckwell Close,
Yeah.
they're all dormer houses.
Well, I understand that to be on the bit where you're going up, like Old Bully bit.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and they're bungalows, aren't they?
Well,
There's
I
There's two
don't know.
bungalows
Yeah.
and
How
two old
many?
cottages, aren't there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's 2 bungalows and then you go into
the
the...
cottages are right back
Right,
there.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? I know Terry was unhappy with the idea.
Yeah, I was uneasy about it. I just thought it. I don't like that sort of development at all.
I mean, I would think that the only grounds for objecting would be that it would be incompatible with the street scene. I mean, if it's one of these that gets into the realm of, you know, they're adding on more than 50% of the existing volume, well, that's a matter for the planners to sort out. But I think, as a parish council, the only thing we could object on would be incompatible with the street scene.
There's nothing in the core strategy that mentions it anyway, like it was. So it's up to you.
I think we should object.
I think we should try at least, yes.
So you're proposing that we object. Is anybody seconding that, Chris?
Yeah,
Okay.
incompatible with the street scene. Object on that.
Okay, so all those
In favour of
in
objecting.
favour of that? All those in favour of objecting? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Okay?
And I think Terry did. Can
Yeah,
Terry
well,
Yeah,
he's
but he
not
can't
here.
vote.
He can't
he
vote.
can't vote.
No.
He's not here.
So Robbie will sort that out for us. And number 3?
Oh, yes, that's the double garage at Tollgate House. There's already a garage there. I mean, there was at one time umpteen cars parked out front. Construction of a double garage, it's well away from any other houses. It's sitting on its own. Perhaps the only thing you could say is that you have to be careful with the lighting. Make sure that it doesn't spill out onto the A426.
One thing because it's plans for a double garage, right, they can't change it later to convert it into a house, can they?
You can't take that into consideration, really. You've got to look at it as what it is now.
Right.
It's the same with the planners. Even if we have all seen them before, like a new barn,
Yeah.
and then 5 years later there's no need for we'll build a house. But you've got to look at it as it is
That's what
on the
it
plan.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, based on what's happened with John Sensible down the road here, they Stratford rejected their application to convert that space above
Yeah.
into residential. So you have to assume that's their line, really.
Right.
Particularly once it's detached from the house, I think. It becomes a more difficult. You know, if it was a detached garage, you could probably convert it. But if it's a detached building, I think there's stronger planning objections.
Right.
So no representation on that.
No, okay. There are the decisions by the District Council for Stockton House, very sub-condition 2, as I said. And then another one came in, and it was 22-01523. You've all seen it because I've sent it round to you. DDT. And that's Stockton House again, and it's to fell a tree. And it's not a planning application. It was, according to the tree surgery department, it was dangerous and had to be brought down. So
it's just for
it's just
information.
notification, yeah.
Okay, naturally. Number 9, financial matters.
Yeah. The invoices received are as listed on agenda appendix 1. Midland Sign and Lighting, £7,254 for the replacement street lanterns. That really should be the last that we see of them. And of that, £1,209 is back. The SLCC annual subscription, £80. The annual Zoom subscription of £143.88. Gary Farmer, £650 for the June village mowing. And SSE, £167.15 for the May street lighting, of which £7.95 is VAT. And recoverable.
Okay, so can I have a proposer and seconder that we pay those? Chris and Helen, thank you.
Oh, sorry, and there's some receipts. See, one from Stockton Football Club, Football and Cricket Club, £350 for the sports field rent, and there's £150 from Good Stone Supply for GM Cox's headstone. And this one will have to go on next month because it came in today. It's from Sport England again, and it's £8,768 for Stockton Football Cricket Club. They are getting very, very efficient at getting money out of Sports England. In the last 2 years, what, 34, must be close to 50-odd thousand, I would think.
Yeah, I think their total
Yeah.
project cost is about 75.
75, yeah. So it's
So
well done.
we can't draw a cheque on that until the next meeting.
well, we can do it. We can just transfer it over once I'm satisfied.
But we can't do it now because it's not on the agenda.
No, it's
can
not
we?
on the
No,
agenda.
no.
Once I'm satisfied that it's in our account,
Yeah.
then I will put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah. And you've circulated the
Internal audit report.
the monthly budget sheet,
Yes, you've all got it. That comes
Yeah.
up in.
which is only unusual, isn't it? It's got a lot of the one-off.
Yeah,
Oh, you've got it down there.
I've got it down
Yeah.
there on the calendar actions.
Yeah.
The next one is 9, which is the internal audit report. And you've all seen this because I sent you all a copy. Here it is. I've got a copy here.
The things that I picked up that we perhaps ought just to ponder on, some of them are quite minor. She recommends that consideration be given to numbering each page of the minutes, which would assist in referencing individual items. Bottom of page 2, Robin.
Mm-hmm. Right, do that.
Yes, you do it, don't you?
Like, it may be that whatever copy's there.
Okay, so we can forget that.
Mm-hmm.
On the middle of the next page, a safeguarding policy was adopted, but there does not seem to be evidence of the policy on the website. Only a heading for safeguarding. So I don't know. I'll send you a copy, John, just in case it's got slipped up. And it is noted that the following policies do not appear to have been reviewed and approved: standing orders, financial regs, audit of footpaths, asset register, safety audit of the playing field and cemetery during the fiscal year 21-22. Don't know what she means by audit of footpaths.
You used to do an audit.
Yeah, but it's not a policy, is it?
No, it was just something we did.
Yeah.
And we noted it as well. So it could well be that she's reading it straight from that.
Yeah,
Because don't forget she's done it for a few years, so I've missed it this year.
yeah. So we probably ought to look again, certainly at the first two, standing orders and financial regs.
Yeah.
And you're going to do a safety
Safety,
audit,
yeah.
aren't you?
Yeah. With-
in these summer months.
With Councillor Millage and Kittendall.
Okay. And then on the 2/3 of the way down the next page, consideration could be given to appending a copy of the budget monitoring document onto the minutes of the Stockton PC website, as well as the financial transactions.
If you wish, I will.
Well, what's her
It's just
thinking behind it? Just more transparency.
Yeah, just some belt and braces. We actually, we say we do, this is just proving that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's no big deal, as long as John's happy to put it on the website. Yeah.
And then on the next page, third of the way down, does not appear to be any evidence in the minutes that the Stockton Parish Council has agreed and approved an up-to-date asset register.
Well, there is. We have got one.
Mm.
We did it at the last meeting.
Yeah. And no evidence on the Stockton PC website that the asset register has been approved. I thought it would have been in the minutes somewhere.
Yeah, it is. Perhaps. Don't forget, we got it done early this year,
Yeah.
and it was done at the May meeting. So that this was done before. So, yeah, we can whack that in.
Yeah. And further down, there's no evidence that the PC website that there is a register of members' interests available.
Well, no, you don't. That's available on
Yes, on the
Stratford,
districts.
On the district. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's just not worth it.
In fact, I think it's not our
It's
responsibility.
not.
It's the
the
monitoring
district.
officer's
You're
responsibility.
absolutely right.
And then on the last page, blah, 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 the accounts, consideration be given to moving a portion of the funds on deposit to another account which could provide a higher rate.
That will become up to now for the last few years. There's been no interest anywhere.
Yeah,
So that is something that we would have to look at.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. Anybody else want to raise anything that was on the internal audit report? Yeah, well, I think you've done a good job there, Robbie. Congratulations. And what she's found out is pure procedural stuff, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Next one's correspondence, and there isn't any. Nobody wants to talk to you.
It's a good sign.
Ongoing references.
Yeah. Still no community forums, although I have had notification, it's not quite the same, that Warwickshire Association of Local Councils, the Stratford Area Committee, have got an online meeting on the evening of the 7th of July. Have you seen that? It's come from Alison today, I think.
Yes, it did. Yes,
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I'll certainly go on to that.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll circulate it round, so because it's got a link if anybody else wants to
Yeah.
join in.
Yeah.
Okay, parish paths, nothing happening there. Village mowing, still going well. Website, nothing to report, John? Yes, there is.
I've had a bit of a concern about the website in terms of who actually bothers to look at it, apart from the internal auditor, by the sounds of it. But I don't think many people do look at the website. but I do put stuff on it because we're expected to.
Yeah.
But what I've been doing, as you know, is that I created a Facebook page for Parish Council where all the stuff that I felt was really important for people to know about who wouldn't necessarily look at the website. I've been putting it on the Facebook page because I think people do look at that. Unfortunately, for some reason, while I was away in Australia, when I came back, I couldn't access that. I'm now forbidden to get into Facebook. So I've got no access to my own. Now this happened once before, but when it happened I recreated a new one, and this is the new one that's now gone belly up. So the question is, do I find a way of getting yet another one up? The thing is, it'll have no history because it'll just be from the time we start.
Yeah.
But you know, is it worth the effort? Because I just don't understand why Facebook, right out of the blue, can just kick you off. And they've done it twice
You've
now.
been doing.
Yeah. And of course they're always there on the end of the phone to ask a question, aren't they? Yeah. No, I think you should, John. I think it would be good to have something like that. Please. Street lighting we dealt with, playing field, we're working on what needs planning permission for that there, road signs, memorial field, cemetery extension. I was approached by Noel Clough the other day. Remember that early in the year he offered to go down and just top everything for us, which he did and made a good job of it. But he said it's growing like billion now, and he's offered to come along and bale it and take it away, so they get something out of it. So I said yes, go ahead and do it. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Because he said if I just top it, there's
It's
so
not
much
used,
weight of
yeah.
stuff, it's going to really look a mess, you know. And it's going
Imagine
to take it
create
off.
good hay from that grass down there.
Yeah. We miss Gilbert's sheep, don't we? Or
Yeah,
goats.
we do.
Yeah.
Crossroads, nothing to report. Cemex, nothing to report. And 20's plenty. There was a meeting arranged for the end of this month for the sort of working committee. But Warwickshire have agreed, you remember they had a task and finish report, they called it, that was reporting to the cabinet. And there was some criticism that the only people on the working group were all, well, there were no people who were in favour of 20's plenty, and they were all sort of people who were against it. So I think they've agreed to review some extra evidence, because people have looked at it and said, well, you haven't really looked at the evidence that other county councils who considered this and approved the principle, you haven't looked at the evidence they brought forward.
And the cost as well.
Yes, yeah, they're challenging the
Warwickshire
cost.
to be very, very high, as opposed to other highways authorities, which it doesn't surprise one.
No. So they've agreed to delay the meeting that we were having until the county council have revisited this. So we'll wait and see what happens on that. No changes to ongoing references. Right, calendar action, sorry Rolly. Budget monitoring.
Yeah, budget monitoring, you've all seen it. It's here. We are where we are at this time of the year. Our income is 56.34% of what we expect it to be, which is about right. And our outgoings are 61.9% of what we expect them to be. But again, that's about right, because the vast majority of our large payments are front-loaded into the first couple of months. So we are where we should be.
Just an interesting footnote on budgetary control. So I read something recently that there are about 10,000 town and parish councils in the country, and their precepts range from something like 1.8 million down to, you know, a few £100 in some cases, a small small ones. But 75% of those 10,000 councils have a preset below £25,000 a year.
Yeah.
So,
Bloody heck.
yeah, quite a lot of small ones. I mean, we're about 26 now, aren't we? So we're only just over the limit.
But even if we were way under the limit, the effectiveness of the football club, or the sports club, whatever you call it, in getting grants from Sporting that would throw us way over and would have done for the last 2 years, and have done. So it's just an arbitrary figure, it doesn't make any difference, it's just money in, money out. So,
And
safety audit, the
we
play,
mentioned
will do,
that, no training and meetings, no district council issues, we've dealt with county council issues, any of the business. Helen? Mindy?
Yes. Have we still got a village odd job plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
The footpath down by us, it's starting to, up the top end, it's starting to grow up.
Okay.
Brambles and the stingers. Not much, but it you know, it will need cutting soon.
Yeah.
Also, the dirt, whatever you call it, in the cemetery,
Oh.
that's come forward. It's right up to that tree now that was put in. It's virtually up to the bottom of the tree, you know, where they dig it out the graves, because he was going to take it away, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was going to take it away when he wanted a full load. But that's not really us, that's between him and Goodwin's, because we don't pay him. So we'll just tell him to get it off. I know that Matt Sharples has said that the back end, later on in the year, he will bring one of his company diggers and just take it over and spread it around the rest of the field. You know, the other side of the hedge. So if you want to wait, you can do it. But if
Well, the other side of the hedge,
that's onto the land, that not into the cemetery extension, the other side.
yeah. Oh, is that the bit that... No, that's a field, isn't it? The
Yeah,
other
it's a
side.
field, yeah.
So we'll just chuck it over the edge?
Yeah, he'll spread it about. All it is earth.
Yeah, I know. I just wondered if there was anything, crops or anything
No,
on the side.
No, there isn't.
No, I think there's, well, a lot of people walk round.
Yes, I do.
don't they?
Yeah, I do.
So I think there's a reasonable sort of headland space.
Right.
But surely somewhere, and we may need to think of this in terms of the new cemetery, Robbie.
Yeah.
We ought to be able to specify
And we haven't done so.
no, that all spoil is taken away. And then it doesn't become a matter between Goodwin's and
Yeah.
grave diggers. It's our specification, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also the hedge opposite me is right nearly across that beech tree.
Yeah.
I know it's the wrong time of year,
Yeah, they won't do it till August now, will they?
No.
No.
but it does need
But
addressing.
I'll get in touch with the guy now and tell him to programme it for, you know, whenever they can get on it after the birds have gone.
Yeah.
But they don't make a very good job of it. But what annoys me is they do the other side, don't they?
Yes, well, I think that's the housing association.
Well, it's all housing association.
Oh, so they've actually planned it now, have they?
Well,
Because
I mean,
was
I don't see how you can have one own half a hedge.
no,
You either own it or you don't.
no, because they were on about it weren't their responsibility, weren't they?
No, I think they accepted responsibility.
Oh,
but
did they?
they don't do a particularly good job on your side.
No. I
No.
mean, it must be, what, 8 foot
Yeah.
over the boundary line? Must be 8 foot wide, our side. Because you planted that tree right away from it, didn't you?
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a big space.
Yeah.
It's up to the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get on to them and program it.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris. Any other business?
Okay.
John. Robin. I've got quite a few things. We talked earlier on about the radar signs. I mean, is the view now that we should go ahead and buy that, subject to getting a detailed specification.
Andy was saying that people disrespect it in the long term, but the one that I particularly see, and I hear from Jeff, is the Staverton one.
Yeah.
And people, you know, I know a lot of golfers go up and down that road, and they respect it all right, but they have I won't say a regular police.
Yeah, they do.
And they're often there.
Yeah.
Not always, but, you know, you can get easily caught there. So
I
how
got
do you
caught
get
there.
that interaction between us and the police so that that could happen here if we've got those signs?
The odds are it won't, because Staverton's on the main road. And we're just on
Yeah.
a little titchy way through from Stockton to Stockton, and that won't. It's very unlikely you'll get a regular visit like they do at Staverton.
But the taking what Andy was saying about local people tend to ignore.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the particular one that Terry's picked up on does have quite a detailed analysis of the speeds. It sort of bands them into percentiles, both traffic going this way and that way. And I think if we publish those graphs occasionally, on Facebook or whatever, it might make people sit up. I mean, the ones I've looked at from other councils, you get either 30 mile an hour. It's not unusual to have cars going 50 mile an hour plus. Not many, but there's quite a lot in that 35 to 40 range. So I think it's definitely worth it. Now, one of the questions that we need to think about is where we would, the rough areas where we would site them. I think it's easy coming from Napton, because it's going to be somewhere between Station Road and somewhere along there. But coming down the hill, it's more difficult. Because I think if you put it at the top of the hill, generally people aren't doing above 30 or very much above 30 at that stage. It's when they reach the bottom of the hill. And I think it would be better somewhere like Elm Road, in a sense.
What about on the pound? Yeah.
Or on the pound.
Because that's
Yes.
our land, isn't it?
Yeah. See, I think wherever we put them, we're going to have to mount them on posts.
Yeah.
But they will be, maybe that's one against the pound. They'll be solar powered. So if there's a lot of shade there, it probably won't pick up too much charge. But that's up to us and the contractor. He's got to come along and advise us on an appropriate site.
I think they're a good thing, and I also think perhaps people in the village who will appreciate it, because we can't get a crossing for the children, can we?
No.
And that's been going on for donkey's years. I think it's a good thing, personally.
Well, I think it is, because
And again, from what Terry was saying, that you can have whatever message you like flashing up.
I think, well, if we can have messages put up, I think the word children is important, because of kids crossing the road.
Yeah. But the one that Terry was suggesting was, you've been logged, which is right. That's what happens. Your speed is logged, not you personally, but you go into the statistics,
Yeah.
and that might make people sit back. So I think we've agreed that in general we'll go forward with it.
Yeah.
We'll get Terry. I think he was waiting. Oh, that's right. He was waiting for the supplier to give us the name of a local council nearby that's had one, so we can talk to them about it. But we need to start talking to Warwickshire Highways, don't we?
Yes.
About
I can do that.
if you can do that. Thank you. We've talked about the walk meeting, and I've just picked up today, it's a bit of a mouthful, the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan. So it's a Warwickshire plan to try and, I suppose, coordinate walking and cycling routes. And it's on the Warwickshire website as a consultation stage up until the 14th of August. Stockton's not mentioned once. But for example, they are talking about a cycle route between Deppers Bridge and Ladbroke.
Why?
Why? Yeah, exactly.
It's trying to go from Deppers Bridge to Ladbroke.
There'd be about 3 people a week go along there. But, you know, I mean, you remember when in Nigel Rock's day, we spent a lot of time with meetings with CEMEX and Warwickshire Highways talking about a cycle route from here to Southampton.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think when Nigel left, it ran out of steam a little bit. And the big hold-up was a bridge over the bypass.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we should respond to the consultation, which says that we should have some sort of link because there is no footpath.
We have no footpath out of the village.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no footpath to Napton,
No,
no footpath to Long Itchington, and no footpath to Satham.
no.
And when you go out, I mean, along these country roads, there's footpaths in the middle of nowhere on some of them. On the Banbury one, there's one for quite a while. You know, and I think, God, and we get nothing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the two routes that seem obvious is that it's either got to be alongside the main road, but we have a real problem now with the boundary with the quarry. You know, there's hardly any room between the boundary and the curb now. Or the other one is the footpath route across the fields. But that's, well, I don't know whether that would be any more expensive just to make that up with some sort of hard surfacing that would take bicycles. Because they've been doing all this Sustrans Route 41, haven't they?
Yeah.
From Off Church to Long Itchington.
Yep.
I don't know what material they've used on that, whether that's just a bound surfacing or whether it's tarmac, I don't know.
I'm sure it's not tarmac.
No,
Even
no.
on
Just looks like, what we know as, well, I know as crush and go.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think we ought to respond and say that there ought to be some sort of link between Stockton and Southam.
Yeah.
Um,
Because people do walk that way, you do find,
yeah.
and I mean, the farmer, hopefully obliging with his ploughing up a bit, is he?
Yeah, that's going to be just the odd problem where the path goes straight across a field. Chris Williamson's.
Oh, divert it and round the edge.
Yeah.
Whatever, if it's a permanent footpath.
So it's worth having a look at that. I'll forward you the link.
I mean, room-wise, it's not a lot different to leaving a headland round a field, is it?
No, we don't need one of them.
Does it not? Mine.
And the other consultation document, which I think I'll let people know about, is the site allocations plan, which they've now produced. I think it's probably the final draft for consultation. And thankfully, there are no reserve sites mentioned for Stockton, because we did have concerns about the field down here on the main road, and then also the one at the top of Laurel Drive. They were potential reserve sites at one time, but they seem to have dropped that now. So that's okay. And the only reference to Stockton is the Sharples self-build, custom build site. We have talked in the past about trees for the Queen's Green Canopy. And you remember that Warwickshire Highways were really unhelpful. But I've been speaking.
I've never heard them being helpful.
I've been speaking to Orbit, and they seem very happy for us to put a tree on Manor Road and George Street by Robbie in the triangle at the end there.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So all he wants to know is, because I said to him, we won't do anything until we've done some consultation with the people who live around there. So I think Robbie ought to write to all of the households around there and just suggest what we plan to do. And And then that we'll only go ahead if we've got somebody who comes forward as a volunteer to look after the trees for a couple of years until they're established, because otherwise it's a waste of time and money. So there's those two sites, George Street, Manor Road. I wondered about...
So that we can have we limited to the amount of trees we can have?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I've done a sort of whip through of... I mean, I've gone for fairly small decorative trees, like rowans and cherries and things like that. But I will send you a list of the ones I've got, so you can have a look. And they're all sort of 4 metres, 5 metres tall after 10 years, so they're not massive trees. And they come in at about £50 to £70 each.
As opposed to 200.
As opposed to 250, yeah.
From the county.
Yeah. I did think about putting one on Millennium Green, but it's a weird site that, because you've got those big mature trees all the way round, and I think if you plant a young tree, the chances are it's going to grow towards the light. And if you come too far forward, you're coming up against the memorial. We don't want a tree that's going to shed stuff over the memorial, so I think we'll leave that one.
That's green and leafy anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually right, yeah.
Well, I bet by the school entrance.
Well, the school have agreed to have one on the playing field, because there was a cherry tree that died there
Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
I mean planting them by the planters,
So that
so cars can't drive on the green.
It's a bit of a balance there, isn't it? But I mean, we could either have one on the bit of green outside Mary Archer's house, that little bit there, or outside Susan Holloway's and the
Opposite
pub.
my drive.
Yeah,
Stop them.
yeah. But I know there was some complaints last time about, well, what happens when the fair comes?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, well, that was one of my concerns, but they managed.
they managed there, but I think it would be more difficult on that narrow piece of green, because they couldn't work around it. And on the piece outside Susan Holloway's, that's when they put the big equipment, isn't it?
You'd only get another tree on there if they cut that tree back anyway.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like Helen Green's.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah, well, there is the one
no, that's.
out on the other side,
Yeah.
isn't there?
I
Yeah.
know, because when the fair come, the car was shut in. Did you notice that? And the house front.
Yes.
They put that driven up there, and then fair come back. Because we've got one side. If you put it close to where the tub is, it wouldn't impede on the.
We might run into Warwickshire problems there, because they claim that's highway land. We say it's Parish Council green.
What's that?
The green.
The green, yeah.
It is Parish.
They say we own the green, but they own the ground underneath it.
Oh, come on.
So I think we'll struggle on there.
Yeah.
I was at the churchyard working party on Saturday and spoke to Wendy Turner about whether we could plant a tree in the churchyard, because you've got that big area where Tom Griffin moved all those gravestones, didn't he? So there's a big area there where there's nothing happening at all.
We tried to get flowering cherries when me and Marion, when Peter Jackson was in, to go down the path,
Yes.
an avenue of cherry trees. And then they took that awful fir tree out.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's an
That
idea,
was
isn't
it,
it?
wouldn't they? You know, the hanging,
Yeah, that would be lovely, actually,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then we could always plant one.
Don't do
In
that
the-
till after the wall's been done.
What's going to happen with the wall?
Who knows?
Helen's paid for it. wouldn't it?
They need £10,000 to pay for 8 metres. And it's got to be lime, it's got to be the same bricks and lime mortar.
So they're
So
hoping to
which
do
bit
it.
is actually dangerous?
All of it.
All of it is, but they're hoping to do it in 8 to 10 metre
I think at
sidewalks.
some stage the whole of the wall is going to have to be done. All of it.
Oh yeah, yes it will.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And the church hasn't got the money. Excuse me.
But we
Hey,
have
people
suggested
strike.
to them to buy a brick, like they did down the football club, but we heard nothing about.
Yeah. And then we could always think about putting one in the old cemetery against the railings or close to the railings.
Oh yeah, but the lightning tree ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's plenty there that we can get on with. So you'll do a note probably to the residents of Mine Road and top end of Church, please.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And rather guiltily, I have to own up to the fact that I have to give my apologies for the next meeting and the meeting after.
Oh.